Good morning, everyone. And today is the 17th of May, 2026. And this is a look at your weather ahead this week. So, we're going to talk about a few things with this episode. We're going to first talk about, just briefly take a look at the weather. Then we're going to remember the 1985 Black Friday wildfires that actually happened on this date. So we're taking a look right now at current conditions. See lots of puffy cloud building up. You can kind of see there's high pressure that's off to the east of us. So you can kind of see the winds you can almost see the pattern in the clouds here. The winds are like down here in southern Florida, the winds are due out of the east, but as they go north, they're kind of going around the edge of the ridge here. The high pressure ridge is like this, and they're kind of going around the edge of it, and so those winds veer more northerly as you go further north. So up by us, the winds are more like southeast to northwest, and up into Georgia, it's more out of the south to north, maybe even a little bit to the northeast. But down here in the southern part, it's straight on out of the east. So that's going to be a factor in our weather the next several days. But let's go back in time, and we are 41 years to the day of the Black Friday wildfires that struck in Flagler County. And just to briefly tell the story, this is the map of where the fires actually burned. And there were 131 homes that were destroyed by this fire. There were two fires that broke out, and the first one broke out south of Bunnell, west of DuPont, right around noontime. And it was a very windy day. And again, this is May 17th, 1985. This is not now. So, but this was called the Black Friday wildfire. So this fire started up, and the winds were out of the west, blowing to the east at a good 40 miles an hour at times. It was 30, 40 mile an hour, sometimes gusting up to 50. So this fire lit up, and it burned. By 12:30, it had gotten to US 1. When it crossed US 1, it took out one of the main telephone lines. So basically, that crippled telephone communications all through Palm Coast. And so you were lucky if you could get a line. And as that fire went right across US 1 there, there was no houses down here at that time. So that was the only good thing. There was no homes down here. It just barely missed Carmelite Fathers and Bayberry Village. Matter of fact, Bayberry Village did get scorched a little bit. As this fire was just about to I-95, this fire, which had started the day before, was contained near Otis Stone Hunter Road. This fire began to break out of its lines, and it went ripping towards Palm Coast. And so that was about 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon. And remember, no telephones. Telephones are out because of this fire. And so no communication. So by the time 2:30 came, this fire was already ripping across US 1 and ripping into neighborhoods like if you took Whiteview Parkway and went about a mile and a half on either side of it, all those homes, and it wasn't that many there then, but there was a few. But these folks had no warning. As that fire came ripping in, literally people just looked and saw their neighborhood was catching fire, grabbed what they could, and ran. There was a story of a lady that went to the beach. All she had was her bikini. Her house burned to the ground. She had no clue that was happening. Things like that happened. People that were in Bunnell couldn't get north. People in Daytona Beach couldn't get home. All this stuff. So this fire, by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, begins ripping through Pine Lakes and the Lehigh Woods, basically the southern part of the W section, northern part of the R section. It goes across Belterre Parkway. And again, for those that's joining us, this is May 17th, 1985 we're talking about. This is not now. As that fire ripped towards I-95, at this point it was getting like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. People literally ran for their lives getting out of the way of that fire. And they began to collect up at the public shopping center. And because there was no communications at all. And this fire burned into Graham Swamp, and it got bogged down in Graham Swamp. This other fire actually burned all the way to the ocean. Notice there's a little gap there. That's called spotting. So the fire, when it got to Bulow Creek and all of that, it actually spotted across and lit again on the other side of Bulow Creek, and it burned all the way to the ocean. When it was all over, 131 homes, mostly over here, completely destroyed. Fortunately, there was no injuries, no fatalities directly related to the fire. Sadly, some people lost pets, and everything they ever owned due to the fire ripping through this area. Um, and if you want to learn more about it, just look up Flagler County Assist on Facebook, because they responded to this. They helped provide CB radio communications during this emergency. And if you want to learn more about that fire and its impacts, just go to their Facebook page, Flagler County Assist, and you can read more about it. But this was a game changer as far as emergency preparedness and such as in Flagler County. There was no emergency operations center. All the fire departments had their own radio channel. No one could talk to each other. All of those things have been upgraded because of this fire. So let's get to the weather now. So let's talk tropics. What's going on in the tropics? Nothing. That's good news. So the hurricane season doesn't officially begin to June 1st, but because tropical cyclones have been popping up earlier now, they start the advisories about May 15th. So the good news is we don't have anything out there, nothing expected for the next 7 days. If we take a look at the if I take a look at the statement again, no tropical development is expected. And if we go to the 2-day forecast, this gives you some graphics there. You can see there's a front coming down. You can see across here, there's nothing out there in the tropics to be of any concern with. Taking a look at satellite imagery here, if I can get that to work. And we will take a look. Let's take a look at the full disk. And you can see, it's kind of hard to see a little bit, but you can see some Sahara dust in there. Sahara dust helps prevent tropical cyclones. It makes drier air, and hurricanes and tropical disturbances don't like dry air. So some Sahara dust coming off the African coast, a big chunk of it right there. That's going to inhibit development. Plus, we don't really see any major disturbances or anything out there going on. We do have a front that is lingering over the central Atlantic. Nothing in the Gulf right now. We have another front. We'll talk about that. That's going to be approaching us towards the end of the week. But again, looking really good out there in the tropics right now. But we'll be keeping an eye on that. These updates are done several times a day, 4 times a day, and things can always change. So let's get into our local weather. What's going to be going on? High pressure. I was showing you that on the satellite image. High pressure in control. But as we go into Monday, the high pressure system begins to slide further off to the east here. This front, we'll be watching that as it gets a little closer, and it slowly starts getting closer and closer to us as we go through the week ahead. And that could impact our shower and storm chances by the end of the week. And we'll take a closer look at that. Let's go and talk about what the National Weather Service has concerns with right now. So high risk of rip currents through Monday at the beaches. So again, just be real careful. If you don't know how to get out of rip currents, don't go in the ocean. There is a potential for strong or severe thunderstorms today. The best chances of that west of Flagler County out to the Gulf Coast. So we could get the odd shower or maybe a thunderstorm in the county. Very unlikely. The better chances are going to be west. And then when you get just the very western part of the county, we're right on the edge of that, where there's a marginal, very low risk of a strong or severe storm. And most of the best chances of that are going to be more in the middle of the state of Florida. Gusts up to 40 to 60 miles an hour and some hail are possible with that activity. Again, we already talked about the rip currents. That's going to be going on through Monday. And, of course, Flagler County, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But as far as the drought concerned, we're still in severe drought, but we're in better shape than many other parts of the state of Florida. We'll take a closer look at that in a little bit. And again, we just looked over tropics, and right now, everything's looking good out there. So let's get into our forecast. For today, there are rain chances. So let's talk about that. Right now, the best rain chances lie west of Bunnell. So about an 11% chance in Espanola, 10% chance in Bunnell. Basically, right along Bunnell, US 1 FEC corridor. From there west is going to be your best chances of catching any showers or maybe a thunderstorm. And then it goes all the way up to about a 13% chance out there in Daytona North, Mondex, and Cody's Corner. So very minimal chance of rain today, but you can't rule it out 100%. Tonight, it all goes away. Tomorrow, very slight chance to the southwest. And then tomorrow night, maybe the odd shower coming in off the ocean during those overnight hours, but nothing really disruptive. And then Tuesday, again, about a 20% chance of a shower. The best chances are going to be along the beaches in the morning and then inland in the afternoon. And then as we go into Tuesday night, looks dry. Wednesday, again, kind of the same deal, maybe a little bit better chance. And then as we go into Thursday, again, about the same deal, better chances inland. And then as we go into Friday, Now chances go up a little bit, about a 30% chance. Coastal areas, again, what will most likely happen based on the information we have right now is that any showers or any storms that develop will develop along the coast in the morning and then work inland during the course of the day. So that's why you see your better rain chances in the western part of the county. And as we go into Saturday, that's still, even though the rain chances are higher, still your best chances, about a 40% chance. Coastal areas west of Bunnell, it goes up to about 50 to 55% chance. And of course, those rain chances go higher west of the county. So at least the way things are trending right now, the best chances of any big storms this week, including this weekend, at least right now, look to be in the western part of the county and points further west at this point in time. And, there could be some changes to that, but that's the way it's looking right now. So rainfall amounts, how much are we going to get? 7-day rainfall amounts, not really that much, up to 1/10 of an inch county-wide pretty much. So not really a lot of rain in the offing out there. So let's talk about, temperatures, because it is going to be warm. So let's talk about that. So high temperatures today, we're getting up to near 90. Quite warm out there, and the humidity is going to make it feel warmer. Lows right near 70 degrees, warmer at the beaches. Tomorrow, look for high temperatures again, upper 80s and 90. Cooler right along the immediate beaches because of that east wind coming in off of there. And then as we go through the rest of the week, again, kind of the same story. Upper 80s and near 90 during the day. Low temperatures close to 70 at night. Warmer at the beaches at night. Cooler at the beaches during the day. Thursday, we get up near 90. Again, lower 80s beaches, near 90 inland. And as we go into the end of the week here, Friday, getting up to near 90 inland, mid-80s beaches, and then cooling off into the mid-70s inland and upper 70s beaches. And then by Saturday, we're looking at, again, because of wind coming in offshore, high temperatures in the mid, maybe some upper 80s coastal areas. Cooler as you get closer to the ocean, warmer as you go inland. Near 90 as you go inland. And then Saturday night, looking at temperatures again, near 80 at the beach and about 75 inland. What about the heat index? So right now, we're not looking at any super serious heat index numbers, but when we get towards the end of the week, we see those heat index numbers coming up, maybe flirting with 100 degrees, 102 degrees heat index by the end of the week. That's heat index, but that's important because that's what the air temperature feels like, is how your body is going to respond to it. And even heat indexes mid-90s at the beaches, but the higher numbers inland, the beaches getting a little bit of relief for that expected onshore wind. So let's talk about wind right now, and let's take a look at that. And we load up our wind gust here. And we're not really looking at any serious wind this week, but you can see as we go through the week, higher gust at the beaches where you can gust up to 20 miles an hour and less wind inland. So let's take a look at our long-range outlook now. This takes us from the 22nd of May into the 26th of May, looking for temperatures to be averaging above normal as we go through that period. And then precipitation chances look to be slightly above normal, just the same in that time period. Now, as we go further into this takes us right to the end of May. And let's zoom in here a little bit more. Looking for temperatures to be averaging above normal. Doesn't mean you can't have 1 or 2 days below normal, but averaging above normal, and precipitation chances also above normal, but, not by dramatically so. All right, let's talk about fires. We talked about the 85 wildfire earlier. No chance of that happening today. Drought index numbers are looking really good for us. We are in the 300 to 399 range here, and that means that we are not in critical values for wildfire concerns. Other areas are much worse than us, but we're not in too bad a shape right here in Flagler County. So let's take a look at our wildfire map. What's going on out there? Well, we only have 2, and they're both basically contained. So this one here is called the Royal Palm Fire. It's 1/10 of an acre, so really not that big of a deal. 100% contained. And then this one here is the one I've been watching for the last week. That one is about a little better than 2 acres, also 100% contained. There's still active fires off to our west, including the famous Railroad Fire, which is only 95% contained. So they're still working that one, and that's several weeks old now. And we still got a few other active fires out here in Putnam County where they have much, much drier conditions. So that's going to wrap things up right now. Throughout the week, look for warming temperatures, a chance of showers or a thunderstorm. Those best chances are going to be inland. And most likely how it's going to go is on days that it does rain, There might be some showers that develop either along the beach or just inland from it. Then activity presses inland throughout the day, with the chances of your bigger storms chiefly laying west of Bunnell, if not further west than that, each day, even on the higher rain chance days. Now, with all that being said, we're watching a front that's coming in from the north. How far south that front goes, right now the models are stalling it north of us. If that front should push through, that can change the forecast a little bit, but that's 7 days away, and that can change a lot. So with that being said, we'll most likely be back here at the middle of the week if there's significant changes, or at the end of the week if there's not. Everybody out there, have a great week, and remember to stay informed. Keep an eye on our page. We appreciate you tuning in to us. Also, with all that being said, if you are just joining us and you've missed the broadcast, you can rewind it, and we'll also be putting our YouTube link up as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Look for that link. Everybody have a great day.